welcome to In My Collection, a new series on my channel. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. I'm going to be talking about some of the decks in my collection, both Oracle and Tarot decks, I believe. And I don't want to call it reviews because I'm not really looking to make reviews. I want to just simply talk about my experiences, my journey with certain decks. Today, we are starting out with the Lumina Tarot. This is a very, very popular and very talked about deck. And that's why I wanted to start with it, because I've seen so many discussions lately. This is the guidebook. I've seen so many people discussing this, both on Eclectic Tarot Forum and on YouTube and on Instagram and on blogs. So what I'm going to be talking about, I really want to make sure that I tell you I'm not looking to offend anyone. I'm not talking about one particular person having criticized this deck. I'm talking about the whole discussion that's been going on online. So it's not about anyone in particular. And the discussions have basically been revolving around this deck having a lack of diversity. The people in this deck, let's see, I picked up a couple of cards. The people in this deck have been accused of all looking the same. And I can say, I mean, in a way that is true, because they do look quite similar to one another. They're very young and beautiful and have long flowing hair, and they're white people. All of the people in this deck, I believe, actually. And so this deck has been very much in the discussion of tarot so white, which I think is a great hashtag. And this is actually a great discussion because tarot has been white for so many years. It does come from Europe with the Tarot de Marseille, and Europe has obviously before been a very, very white continent. So yeah, as you can see, the people are looking basically like fashion models. And they have this style where some people have been calling it, what is that? It's like a music festival in the States. Coachella, the Coachella festival look. And I've seen pictures of it, and I agree. This deck actually does have a lot of Coachella cute, pretty girls. So yeah, that's true. So do I agree with the lack of diversity? Yes, I do. But I'm also wondering if maybe we're looking for a scapegoat. Maybe this has become the deck that just gives this bad example. Oh, this is tarot. This is everything we see in tarot. And I have to say that I'm just going to have to step in and maybe defend the creators of this deck. Because when we talk about decks and their creators, I feel like maybe we should be careful what we're criticizing. And the whole phenomenon of tarot being very white and a lot of decks only having young, beautiful people, that is a problem. And that's something that is important that we discuss. But saying, oh, this deck, it's the worst deck, you know, maybe that's a bit unfair from my view. And something I was thinking about the other day is that this is a self-published deck. This isn't one of those mass-produced Los Scarabeo or US Games decks. This is self-published by, I do believe that Lauren is the woman who has Inner Hue. I think it's her company, where she also created an Oracle deck, the Alchemist Oracle, or Connected and Free is also a title. And I must say that I think that when you create your own deck, I think that you're looking to your higher self. You're looking at the world around you, outwards, and you're also looking inwards. what kind of artwork do you connect with? What kind of symbolism do you want to put in a deck that makes your intuition spark, that makes you feel at home? I think because that's what I would do. If I had the opportunity to create a tarot deck, I would definitely try to create something that was connecting to my soul, that made me feel like this is my soul coming home to a deck. And I really believe that anyone who publishes a deck themselves is striving to do just that. And maybe we should have a certain respect for that, and because they're not doing it to make money. As we all know, you're not going to become rich making a tarot deck. It doesn't matter if you're making a deck self-published or if you're making it for US Games or Los Scarabeo. You're not going to become rich. And maybe that's something we should consider. These two women made a deck that connected to them and their world, and maybe the people around them. And who are we to say, oh, this is what your world looks like? It's not really correct. Because can we say that if they look like the women in these decks, in this deck, the Alchemist Oracle actually doesn't have any people. If this is what they look like, Lauren and Tegan and their friends and family members, who are we to say that's not okay? You need to get new friends that look older, or whatever it might be. So that's just a thought I had. So again, I do feel like the discussion is very important, but I also feel like maybe we shouldn't try to find a scapegoat, someone who's making the worst deck. So I just want to balance the discussion a bit, and also I'm gonna keep talking about this, but also get into why I love this deck. I'm gonna be showing you my favorite cards, and I will start with the aces because I love the aces in this deck. They're so energetic and also quite different, some of them. So here we go, the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Cups. I really like the cup suit in most decks. Well, I have to like the cup suit because I'm very watery and I'm very emotional. So that's my favorite. So they're great aces in this deck. And one of the reasons why I really love this deck is because it was gifted to me. I have to admit that I'm not that innocent when it comes to the discussions about this deck, because when I started seeing this deck around online, I was also thinking, oh, that looks like such a shallow deck. It looks all modern and trendy, and again with all the pretty people. So I was actually also saying that about this deck. And it's just recently I've started to feel like maybe that wasn't completely fair, to be honest. This one is a favorite. I think many people love this card. So cute. So I was gifted this deck from a very, very dear friend, a very generous soul, very beautiful person inside and outside. And I think that helped me to connect with this deck, because having been gifted this deck, every thought of it being shallow and not having soul kind of disappeared, because my friend used it for a while, and obviously she put energy in the deck and she put love in the deck, sending it away to me as a surprise gift. That was You know, that was made with love. That was made with a generous heart. And when you get a deck like that, how can you dislike it? You just, no, you can't do that. So for me, this deck got so much more soul when I received my copy. My copy that I felt had so much love in it. And so I started using it. I didn't have any expectations. But I started using it. This is one of my favorite cards. And as soon as I had done a couple of readings, I was just feeling, yeah, all the doubt I had about this deck before, it disappeared. It did not feel shallow at all. And it was just clear. It's a very clear reading deck to me. And some people might be scared seeing the minor arcana because it does have a bit of a pip non-scenic feeling. Not all of the cards are that illustrated as a Rider-Waite-Smith deck would be. But if you really sit with the cards, I would say that you're going to, if you're used to the Rider-Waite-Smith, you're going to make a connection and you're going to understand. This is a favorite for many people. You're going to understand the connection between the two systems. Because one thing I gotta say I didn't really like so much about this deck is that the guidebook, it's very beautiful. But one thing I didn't like was that it basically describes the Rider-Waite-Smith cards. It doesn't really go into this deck's symbolism. It doesn't really explain why it differs. Let's say this card. It is the Seven of Pentacles. Why did it choose a cactus? What does that mean? Does it mean anything that it has flowers on it? You know, the book does not explain this. It doesn't mention a cactus. Just like, there are quite a lot of those cards that are kind of pippish. I think that's what we're calling it nowadays. So this one, it's kind of a pip card. And this one. And again, in the book, she doesn't really mention what this means. Why does she have the elemental signs there? It isn't mentioned. Also why some of the animals are depicted. Let's see if I can find one. You know, the King of Pentacles. Why is he depicted with a bear? So you gotta think about those things yourself. You gotta make up those meanings a bit. Or go with your intuition. I know a lot of us really love to work with animal symbolism nowadays. So maybe that's something that you have to connect with yourself. I love this night. And you know, I gotta say, to be fair, the women are like gorgeous, and so are the men. I really like him. So, this is Paris Hilton. I mean, seriously, this looks like Paris Hilton. You cannot tell me it's not her. I know some people are bothered by that, seeing celebrities in decks. I don't really mind at all, to be honest. Where's the Fool? Oh, I want to show. No, there she is. The Fool kind of looks like, and I totally lost her name. The one in the Hunger Games. She looks like that woman. Very beautiful. I love this Moon card. I know that this card was kind of controversial, and people found the picture online that this is from a photo shoot. I think someone was Googling goddess photos or something. And this is a real photo of, there exists a real photo of this woman. And, you know, maybe that bothers some, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't bother me, simply because this is such a great deck to read with for me. And also something that helped me get over the whole controversy of the beautiful people in this deck was to kind of think of them as alien people. They're not real people. They're something else. They're from a different world. That's kind of how I feel about the Star Child Tarot. It doesn't have the same issue with all the people looking like supermodels. But there's something about that deck. It just has this aura of outer space that makes me feel like, yeah, those people, they're not real. They're not real people. Even though in the Star Child Tarot, they are actually real people. I mean, she has the whole, oh, what is it called? She has the whole elk horns going on. I don't know. But I love this sun card. I'm just like Kelly. I hate sun cards with babies on them. No. I love this one. So, I think there are a lot of very cool cards in this deck. And I also feel like in the beginning, when I was thinking that it's a shallow deck before I had it, I was actually influenced by the discussions going on in the tarot world, where people were saying, oh, it's shallow, it has no soul, it's just models. Well, you know, that gets to you. You start to think the same way. And I think that's the... I'm going to show a couple of cards that I didn't choose as my favorites, but I mean, I still like the whole deck, so it doesn't matter, but these aren't my favorite cards. Maybe you like them. Anyway, as the discussion was going on about this deck, I do feel like I got influenced by the criticism. And I think that happens when a deck when these things get discussed. We do start to fall into the whole, oh, maybe I won't like it because no one else seemed to like it. And just like, I think that's what happens when a deck gets very popular and very hyped. We also start to think, oh, I have to have that deck. I gotta love that deck because everyone says it's amazing. So I'm a bit bothered by that lately because I'm seeing so many decks hyped up and they're really expensive and everyone is loving them. And, you know, maybe that gets to some people. They feel like, oh, if I'm gonna be this professional tarot reader, or if I'm gonna be big on YouTube or Instagram, or if the community is going to accept me, maybe I have to have this deck. And, you know, I feel like hopefully no one thinks like that, because that's not what it's about. It's always going to be like that with tarot. Someone is going to love and adore a deck, and it's going to be their most sacred possession. And someone else is going to feel like, oh, no, this deck is so ugly, and it's so bad, and it has no symbolism that makes sense, etc. That's why we're trading a lot of decks lately, right? So you gotta understand that it's something very individual. If we like a deck or if we don't. And also something that was talked about when it comes to this deck is the similarities with the Wild Unknown Tarot. You know, I do believe there are some similarities, but when you have both decks and you look through them, you're going to see that the vibes are very different. The Wild Unknown is very earthy, very animal, pentacles or coins like. Well, this one, like I said, it's a cosmic deck. to me, it reminds me more of the Star Child Tarot, at least the vibe, the energy, than it does with the Wild Unknown. And while I'm mentioning the Wild Unknown, I gotta tell you that something I remember in the beginning when the Wild Unknown Tarot was released and published, and people were talking about it. A lot of well-respected people in this community were saying that it was shallow, it lacked soul, it was only created to make money and to appeal to the cool hipster crowd. And I'm talking about the Wild Unknown Tarot that is super well respected nowadays. So, you know, the discussion changes. Some decks that are really popular and well liked right now might be very, very criticized in the future, and vice versa. So our most loved decks might not have been as loved in the beginning as they are right now. So we gotta remember that. Sometimes the opinions go back and forth a bit. So the best thing is to just make up your own mind and to really try to connect with a deck in your own way and see what you feel about it, instead of just listening to what someone else has been saying about a deck. Because you might love it, you might connect with it so well, and someone else might want to, throw it out the window to get rid of it. So yeah, those are my thoughts about the Lumina Tarot, a deck I love so much, and it's a deck I don't think I will ever get rid of, because it was very much a generous, loving gift from a beautiful soul, and it's also so beautiful. It's a clear reading deck. It's very useful. It's very easy to read with, at least for me. It really does connect with my soul. And being kind of nature-based, there are a lot of animals in this deck, as you saw. It also helps me to connect with nature, because it's something I'm trying to do more and more these days. So I hope you enjoyed my thoughts about this, and if you have any thoughts, just let me know in the comments. Thank you. Bye.